Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. May this be an offering to the divinity within you. I would like to begin our Nididhyāsana, the Shravana, that's the final part of the Sangha. We begin with Shravana, with an invocation to the Gayatri Mantra. So if you know it, you're welcome to join along with me. Om Bhurvaswaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yunah Prachodayat. Thank you. As we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being a welcoming one, open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, orientation, belief system, etc. May we all come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Namaste, MWLA. I am happy to be of help. I hope to be of service in any way that I can. Namaste, Romi. Radhe, Radhe, dear Magdalene. I trust that whatever you are going through, you are doing the best that you can in this moment. And that's enough. We can never expect more than that, because how can we possibly do any more than our best? Please be affirmed in that. Regardless of the circumstance of your experiences and the emotions pervading you, I hope you do find space here to hold that. Namaste, dear John F. Hello, dear Shakira. Hello, Flower. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling very peaceful today. I'll tell you something funny. You know, I woke up late today. I had a hard time getting to sleep and staying asleep. And I decided to not let that bother me today. You know, normally I didn't even realize I was doing this, but I chose to be a little grumpy for the rest of my day if I had a hard night of sleep. But then I realized I don't have to do that. I can just choose to not let it get to me. I can be sleepy, whatever. I'll just have an extra good night's sleep tonight. That was a big relief. Shakira asks about my kitties. They're doing well, I think. Yes. Yeah. No major update, which is good. Just as they were before. Namaste, dear star. MWLA. Deep experiences shape ourselves, and may you be molded by this in such a way that brings out your highest potential. Namaste, Jai. Thank you and welcome, Sue. Flo, you share you slept for 4 hours after work today with your cat sitting on you. It has been a blessed day. Always a blessing when that happens. Namaste, Lakonen. Yes, thank you, Shakira. Perhaps it is issues with a season change, dear Romi. Certainly, the seasons affect our mood. Just like the cycle of Earth's revolution around its axis changes our mood, We feel different in the morning than we do at night. So too, the tilt of the earth, of its hemisphere, summer, fall, winter, spring, that definitely creates seasonal changes in our hormone balances. Seasonal depression is real. I remember talking to a psychiatrist about that. She was asking questions of the possibility if I had that, and one of her questions was, do I feel extra sad on a cloudy day? And I said, no, but I feel extra happy on a sunny day. Suppose it's just a matter of perspective. She gave me this look like, okay, I think you've somehow avoided this. Thank you, Shakira, for your heart me that you sent. Always blessed to receive even your presence. Arion Tatsat. Welcome, dear Jitu Infinity. Om Kring Kalikai Namaha. That's a good point, Romy. I think it is only natural that there is going to be a change in our mood through the season, so it is funny. Hello, dear Lex. Catherine, you shared that you feel like people are nicer when the sun is out. Me too. I'm so happy to hear of this, dear Sky Guardian. Sleep is so important. I'm glad you're getting some. Thank you for finding beauty in me, dear Jojo. Hello, dear India Sue. Thank you, John F., for your friendship necklace, your finger heart, and a tiny yippee. Thank you, Linda, for a rose for every day in a fortnight. Ram. Lex, you share that you feel happier when the weather mimics your inner landscape. I like that. We could use that to our advantage, if that's the case. If it's stormy out, maybe it's time to feel a little stormy. If it's sunny out, maybe it's time to feel a little sunny. If it's rainy out, maybe it's time to feel a little rainy. My day has been well so far. It has not been very long for me, though, but thank you for asking, Lakonan. Thank you for finding blessings in me, dear Leela. I do feel very blessed, and in all my blessings in excess, I hope to share them with you. I'm happy you have the possibility of sleep ahead of you too, dear Connor. It's always important. And hello, Deanna. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the beginning of our Shravana. This section of our live stream is all about receiving new experiences. I'll just make a reminder that this section is also dedicated to hearing from you in the form of a creative project, special interests, something important to you in the show and tell. We don't have any today. We've gone through all of them thus far. But if there was something like that which you would like to find amplification and expression here, I will do my best to showcase it. Just check out the link tree in my bio where there's a place for you to drop files called the Show and Tell application form. It's a Google form. And let us read from another pair of chapters from Hollywood Himalayas. I think we have time for 2 chapters today, since both of these are just a couple pages each. We'll read chapter 20 and 21. I'll just catch you up. This book is about Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati, an American PhD psychology student who ends up going to India with her husband because he was going on a spiritual pilgrimage and she was along for the ride. But she was the one that ended up having a spiritual awakening, finding a guru, and her husband was jealous of that and they separated. Her guru ended up telling her to go back to America. And so she's been adapting in America again after she has returned from India, but she's decided now she wants to move back to India. So let's see where we left off. I hope this reading is insightful for you. Hello, dearest Jessica. Hello, Madgiza. And Shakira, the question of the day has been moved to the my new Manana section of the live stream, which is just after the Shravana. Chapter 20. Ecstasy in statistics class. Well, that's a sentence you don't hear often. Most people suffer their way through statistics class. This is February to March 1997. So, if there is a jar of 500 marbles and 200 are red, what is the probability of choosing a red marble if you pick 4 marbles out of the jar? What is the probability of choosing 2 red marbles? What is the probability of choosing no red marbles? I sat in front row at a 2-person table, the type that line graduate school classrooms. Undergraduate classes took place in large lecture halls, auditoriums with rows and rows of chairs sloping upward, each with an individual desk folding from the right armrest. By age 25, 4 quarters into the PhD degree, I was jaded. I took between 19 and 21 units a quarter instead of the normal 15 so that I could finish the program as quickly as possible. Is this taxonomy or psychology? I once burst out in my psychodynamic psychology class. Are we learning to help people or just to stick them in the appropriate boxes? My volunteer program at a county center for drug-addicted women, where I worked with their drug-impacted babies while the mothers received addiction counseling, was the highlight of my week. Holding babies whose incessant counseling, I went back a sentence. Holding babies whose incessant sobs had nothing to do with present-day despair and everything to do with the heroin coursing through their veins during in utero development made me finally feel that my life was worthwhile. I closed my eyes and visualized their neural circuits, their tiny limbic systems with serotonin, dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine flooding their synapses at all the wrong times. As I held them, I visualized being able to heal them. I fantasized that from my hands poured forth healing energy that could reset their neural circuitry. You so get this when you work with special need kids, dear Deanna. I'm happy you can relate, and that's very selfless. I was aware, though, that I could do little for them other than a few hours of weekly tenderness until I finished my degree. I needed to accumulate degrees and titles if I wanted to effect true change. In India, I had found the ability to effect immediate change. Schools could be built where schools did not exist. Starving people could be fed. Orphans could be taken in off the streets and given a chance at life. And I could do this even without finishing my PhD. It was an opportunity to stop jumping through the hoops of academia and put my life to use immediately. And that was aside from the spiritual experience. Being back in graduate school classes in January through March 1997 was more difficult than I had imagined. To sit through statistics class when one has no other option is hard enough. To sit through statistics class while the waters of Ganga, the holy river that she had a spiritual experience in, could be rushing over one's feet, while one could be waving an oil lamp and singing her glories, while one could be engaged each minute of each day in helping children whose eyes sparkled with a light belying their destitution, was unbearable. I just needed to make it through the semester, I kept telling myself. If you recall, her guru said, you have to go back and finish your degree. She said, I don't want to. He said, okay, how about just a semester? Can you do that? She went, okay. If the first 3 marbles I remove are all black, and I replace them each back into the jar, what are the chances the 4th marble I pull out will also be black? The math is easy. The concentration is difficult. I opened my assignment book to make a note reminding myself to pick up my sweater from the dry cleaners on my way home in the evening. After noting the reminder, I turned to the back of the book where, on the glossy inside back cover, I have taped 2 photos. One is a picture of my Guru Swamiji I took the week before I left. It is a December morning in his garden, and the rays of the sun are just starting to beat down on the burgundy bougainvillea. I still don't know how to pronounce this word that I learned from you. Means a kind of flower, a kind of flowering plant. I imagine it's beautiful though. He stands among them, smiling. The other picture is of Lord Krishna, but not the usual full-bodied flute-in-hand image. This is an unusual picture, one I haven't seen since. A picture just of Krishna's face, and mostly only his eyes on a black background. There is no outline to the face, only his huge shining eyes, a subtle nose and mouth. In November 1996, on my first visit to the sacred land of Govardhan, or also known as Vrindavan, as we walked the 13-mile parikrama, the circumambulation around Govardhan Hill, someone pressed the photo into my hands. I had walked among thousands of others, led by Swamiji and other revered saints of India, barefoot around the mountain that Lord Krishna had held up with his pinky finger to protect the people from the fury of Lord Indra, the king of the gods. Walking, or rather gliding, over the pebbled ground, I was entranced. I was also the only foreigner. Every few minutes, someone would compassionately ask me if my feet were okay. The question seemed absurd. Feet? Really? Did I even have feet? I felt like I was being carried along, in a land so foreign yet so familiar, by one I had never met but knew intimately. As we passed through a tiny market, a shopkeeper rushed forth from his shop, probably to catch a glimpse of the procession, and inexplicably grabbed my hands, pressing this picture between them. It was hundreds of yards later before I had enough space on either side of my elbows to open my hands and see what they contained. Staring into the eyes of Krishna transported me through the picture into a realm where my body had no physical borders, a realm in which I breathed into the universe and of the universe, a realm in which love was the field on which all else existed. Now, sitting in class, I look at these 2 pictures, Swamiji framed by blossoming bougainvillea, and Krishna with his eyes like magical flowers that open their petals just wide enough to engulf me and then close again on me, carrying me deep into the source of the nectar and fragrance itself. It's a good word. Circumambulation, dear Grey Gargi. I notice my notes are wet before I realize I'm crying. My left hand rests on a pad of paper, on which my blue ink calculations of red and black marbles are now smudged illegibly. I am not sobbing. No noise is coming from my mouth, and no chokes are racking my throat or lungs. Tears are simply pouring from my eyes and dropping from my chin onto my notepad. I am not sad. I did not even remember I was here in class calculating probability of red versus black marbles. The images of Swamiji and Lord Krishna were vehicles into which each time I saw them, I was carried into a place where nothing but love existed. The tears streaming down my cheeks and onto my notes were just a tributary of that river of love. My teachers and classmates, of course, saw tears, not rivers. They saw opened-mouth catatonia, not meditative ecstasy. They thought I had gone crazy. Only my continued straight A's and relative coherence in conversation prevented them from suggesting that I had become a recipient rather than a provider of psychological help. On an afternoon at the end of February, after the truth had become the third party in my conversation with my friend and therapist Kim, and hadn't gone back into hiding since, I went to meet with the dean. I would like to take a 1-year leave of absence, I said. I'm not surprised, he replied in that casual way that hints at the not-so-casual. We expected something of the sort, seeing the change in you since you've returned from India. But I must tell you, I do not advise it. I cannot in good conscience recommend this path. Charity work is admirable, and finding one's inner truth is compelling, but you are a star student in this program. To take an extended leave now will surely raise questions to future employers. It will be suspicious and therefore disconcerting to those who would hire you later on. This will be a black mark on your record. Star students, capable and focused students, do not take these sorts of extended leaves for spiritual pursuit in the midst of their doctoral work. I focused on my breath, 2 inches below my belly button, at the Swadhisthana chakra, which is the sacral, the seat of my energetic being. His truth is not your truth, I told myself. There is no reason to be upset. I had not expected understanding or support, so why was its absence upsetting? I must tell you in no ambivalent terms, my dean continued, I think you are making a serious mistake. I continued to sit on the chair facing him. I brought my attention back to my breath, over and over. It was crucial to me to be present with this. If my truth was really truth, it would have a power of its own. I would not permit myself to dissociate through these difficult meetings. If I was walking into the fire, it would be hot. When my breath was slow and deep, I looked at him. Thank you. I know you are saying what you feel to be the truth. It is not the truth for me, though. Being in India is. And I must return. I deeply appreciate your concern for me and your time in sharing your advice. We rose and shook hands. I looked into his eyes and smiled, trying to give him a glimpse of what I was experiencing inside myself, trying to connect with him on a level that the words would not permit. He made a cursory eye contact and then showed me the door, opening it while I walked through. I left his office and headed into the tree-lined streets of Palo Alto. Soon, I would be going home. So thank you for listening. She has extended a leave of absence for 1 year. She is sticking true to her word. All right. We'll continue reading next time. And that next time will just be after I open the door for my kitties, which you hear. A little interim for our next chapter. I'll show them for you.
Who is meowing? It's Sandy. Hi. Hello. Love you. Who's that? Sandy beans. Sandy beans. Yes. You purring? Yes. I love you. Can you purr into the microphone? So many people love you, dear Sandy. All right. Hi. Sweet that you remember that he likes eating flowers, dear Shakira. He has a funny appetite. Likes eating flowers. He likes sucking on the muffin wrappers. Every time I throw out a muffin wrapper in the garbage in my room, he's always digging for them. He likes eating arugula. Anytime I bust out arugula, he's always eating it. I put them on my veggie burgers and he's stealing the arugula between the patty and the bun. One time my mom made me a full arugula-filled salad with dressing and everything. And she left it on the counter thinking, you know, a cat's not going to eat your salad. Sandy will. And he did. Dear Gregor G, you share your dog eats leaf off the tree branches sometimes. That must be hard on walks, trying to make sure that he doesn't eat anything he's not supposed to. Hello, dear Donsuela. I have a moment to extend my gratitude to those who sent a gift while we read to you. Dear Deanna, thank you for the heart meat, the team bracelet, and the rosa, and just another rosa. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. It's funny, Greg RG. He'll eat anything, even bees. Them poor bees. Thank you, Laura, for your tiny as well. Nippy. Thank you, dear John Simon, for the heart me that you sent as well. Om Mang Saraswatyai Namaha. And dear Peter, thank you for your rose too. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Babel Fishy, for your pair of baby ghosts. Om Braum Hanumate Namaha. And Tattvam Asi. Thank you for your quintet of roses. Radhe Radhe. I'm not sure
sure where Sandy is. He's somewhere in my room now. It's funny, Sandy normally does not like to be picked up by anyone else. But I know the secret. The secret to picking up Sandy is you gotta squish his beans. Makes him feel grounded, I guess. All Divine Maze, you share that you call your neighbor's dog Dennis the Menace because he eats everything. That's great. That's an old movie now. Dennis the Menace. All right, let's just continue where we left off. Let's read the 21st chapter. Pujya Swamiji coming to America. This will be exciting. That's her guru that she met in India, who told her to go back to America. Now he's coming to see her. Or, well, probably an ashram of sorts near her, or some community center. Now, I have to tell you that I might have to let Sandy out of my room, partially through reading this, in case you wonder. This is from January through March of 1997. Don't worry, Swamiji said when he pushed me out of the ashram in December. I am coming to America next month. He had founded the world's first Hindu Jain temple in 1984 in Monroeville, a woodsy, hilly suburb of Pittsburgh, and had spent many months each year in the United States since then, establishing and inspiring that and other temples. That's very interesting, a Hindu and a Jain temple at the same time. We love interfaith dialogue. In August of 1987, 10 years prior, at the end of a special event in the Hindu Jain temple, many devotees, including a few scholars on Hinduism, had met with Pujya Swamiji to discuss the state of Hinduism in America. Indians born and raised in India, steeped in Hindu culture, simply live these rites and rituals daily without necessarily knowing the specific meanings or significance, and it's difficult for them to explain them to the inquiring minds of their Western-raised children. I'm laughing because in my periphery, my dear cat Sandy just knocked down my laundry bin and it fell on him. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, I'm gonna have to let him out of my room. One moment.
Alright. Come here, Mr. Beans. Well, see you later.
Thank you for your patience. Although the Hindu tradition is one of the oldest, largest, and most influential religions on earth, with over 7,000 years of history and prehistory, and 1.2 billion adherents worldwide, there was no comprehensive encyclopedia of Hinduism. So, Pujya Swamiji had proposed, we should bring out an encyclopedia of Hinduism to provide your children and your children's children and all the children of the world an authentic, informative, insightful, and inspiring source of reference for Hinduism. The others had looked at him incredulously. It would be a Herculean undertaking. Do you really think it can be done? Someone had asked. Pujya Swamiji had closed his eyes and opened them a short while later. Yes, he said, it can be done, and we will do it. When I asked him how he had known to say yes, he explained, I needed to see if I received the green signal from God. The moment, with closed eyes, I got the signal. I knew the project could be done and would be brought to successful completion. So, beginning in 1987, Swamiji oversaw a publication of the world's first comprehensive encyclopedia of Hinduism. That winter, Swamiji had founded the India Heritage Research Foundation, the IHRF, a non-profit organization dedicated to bringing out the multi-volume work. The IHRF's activities have since expanded and now include innumerable projects, including free schools, orphanages / gurukuls, vocational training programs, women's development and rural development projects, disaster relief, ecological preservation programs, and much more. So, in December 1996, as I was preparing to leave Rishikesh for California, with as much enthusiasm as one prepares for a colonoscopy, work on the encyclopedia, 10 years later, was in full swing at a network of dozens of offices around the globe, headquartered at the University of South Carolina in Columbia. Board meetings, advisory meetings, editorial meetings, and awareness-raising events took place regularly, and Pujya Swamiji's presence and guidance were crucial. I'll be in the US in January, he told me. Will you come to California? Please? I begged. Sure, Swamiji said. In Miracle of Love, Ram Das, the renowned Harvard professor turned brilliant spiritual leader, shared a story of his experience with his guru, Baba Neem Karoli Maharaj. I'm sure many of you know Ram Das. If you don't, that's your homework. Of Ram Das's own words, Maharaji would usually agree to any request from a devotee. People frequently invited him to come and bless their homes and to partake of the food prepared by the family. He would inevitably agree to all these requests, yet, more often than not, he wouldn't go. When questioned by one of his devotees about his habit of making and breaking promises, Maharaji replied, I'm just a big liar. If only someone had thrust that book into my hands in the beginning, it would have saved me a lot of heartache. I was being initiated into not only a world of spiritual awakening, but also one in which yes can also mean no. The gears of my brain had to readjust themselves. Neural networks had to be rewired. In the world I had entered, sure and definitely do not mean sure or definitely. They mean roughly, maybe, but quite likely not. As tomorrow, in response to questions regarding Pujya Swamiji's return to the ashram, actually meant I don't know, and was said to keep me happy in the moment, so too I learned over the years, but not quickly enough to prevent disappointment in early 1997. Swamiji's sure means, in this moment, looking into your eyes, which are filled with love and devotion, that sounds absolutely like the right thing to plan to do. However, in the next moment, or a week or a month later, it probably isn't the right thing to do, as the flow of the river of life in which Swamiji is anchored has taken a different course. I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was that he said, sure. Therefore, he would come. I daydreamed constantly about where I would take him. I'd show him the sunset at Half Moon Bay. I'd take him to walk among the redwoods in the Muir Wood. Oh my goodness. The Muir Woods. The Muir Woods. I'd cook Sattvic Indian meals from my Indian Ayurvedic cookbook. I even had the property manager of my apartment fix the sofa bed in my living room so I could sleep on it while my room served as a perfect restful abode for Swamiji. At a moment of devotion-induced delusion or loss of common sense, I imagined bringing him to my PhD program classes at the Pacific Graduate School of Psychology. Today, boys and girls, for show and tell, I brought my guru, an enlightened master. The absurdity was lost on me at the time, and I imagined how great it would feel to have him see my school, where I studied, where I ate lunch. In elementary school, we used to have Grandparents' Day, where those of us fortunate enough to have a living grandparent nearby could bring them to the school. Grandparents are interested in where their elementary school grandkids eat lunch. Indian gurus, it turns out, are not. They're not interested in where their graduate school devotees eat lunch. Swamiji listened to me with tenderness and compassion when I would call him regularly, sometimes from the payphone in the courtyard at school, early in the morning for me in California, his evening in India, to inquire whether dates had been finalized for his visit. He never once said, or even insinuated, "Are you crazy?" But the dates kept getting postponed. My quote-unquote husband, Jim, had returned from India, and we had a sweet, or more correctly, bittersweet evening together. We met at our favorite vegan restaurant, and over plates decorated artistically with swirls of raspberry syrup and bread dipped in tofu garlic sauce. We discussed the end of our marriage. He had kept me abreast of his Indian adventures through detailed faxes, so there was no need to repeat stories of the women he'd been with or the length and breadth of his travels. I wanted to share the immensity of joy I was experiencing, but I knew that to Jim it could feel like a knife piercing his heart. So he stayed mostly quiet and spoke of logistics. My stepfather, Frank, a divorce lawyer, would do the paperwork. I would leave Jim with mostly everything to help him get back on his feet and to free me of the chains of logistics conflict. As I planned Swamiji's imminent visit, I envisioned him again meeting Jim and laying a hand on Jim's heart that would heal the wound and fill him with love. However, Swamiji didn't come. An urgent meeting for the encyclopedia at the Chennai office forced a postponement from late January to early February. Then a winter cold caused a postponement from early February to mid-February. Something or other kept coming up and causing the dates to be pushed back week by week. Finally, he landed in Pittsburgh the second week in March, but regrettably he explained he would not be able to come to California. So on Friday, March the 14th, 1997, my 26th birthday after completing my last final exam, I took a red-eye from San Francisco to Pittsburgh. I spent a week with him in Monroeville, 10 miles outside of Pittsburgh. An Indian couple had taken over administration of the encyclopedia project and moved to Edmonton, Alberta, into the house next door to the Hindu Jain temple. A generous devotee of Swamiji had purchased it a few years earlier, so the encyclopedia project would have an office, and so Swamiji could stay there and meet with people when he came to support the temple and work on the encyclopedia. Until then, he'd stayed at the temple, but now that the work of the foundation had expanded and it had its own head office, it made sense for him to stay there. Living under the same roof with Swamiji was ecstasy. There were no boys I had to go through to get an appointment into his inner quarters. The office was on the ground floor of the house, and he spent all his waking, non-meditating hours there, poring over files, charts, and graphs, as well as plans for the upcoming summer awareness-raising tour with the Canadian director. Swamiji had asked a local devotee to bring an extra desk and chair for me, so I had my own corner of the office. My parents had just given me a laptop computer for my birthday, and as I set it on the desk, a mere 10 feet from the couch where Swamiji sat with files spread out on a low coffee table, my breath slowed and deepened the way it does when I begin meditation. I felt my lips spread as a huge smile opened across my face. I was in heaven, and it was a home office in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. Do you remember how big laptops were in 1997? My goodness. I imagine that they're almost as big as the desktops we have today. Office hours ran from about 7 in the morning to 10 p.m. Pujya Swamiji came downstairs each morning after his prayers and meditation and began reviewing papers, making notes on dozens of small pads that he circled, or that he called diaries. I'm not sure where the word circled came from. He had a different diary for each aspect of the project, a diary for each city he was going to, a diary for each person he was working with. The Devanagari script looked to me like artistic hieroglyphs, carrying secrets and wisdom within it beyond even the perfection of his lettering. His organization, albeit relegated to tiny slips of paper bound in spiral notebooks and spread across a table, rivaled anything I had seen in any corporate office. Months later, when I gave him, on his birthday, a beautiful cloth-bound planner with sections for calendars, contacts, and to-do lists by day, week, and month, he smiled, thanked me, and regifted to someone working for him in Rishikesh. Yes, he said, many people have given me those, extinguishing in 6 words the bubbling excitement of my ingenuity, but I prefer my own system. Each day, streams of people would float through, ranging from devotees who came for his darshan and blessings, or to spend a few precious moments in his presence to board members. Oh my goodness. The treasurer balancing the accounts of payments made to scholars, the secretary and joint secretary reviewing meeting minutes and outstanding action items, and members and executives of the Hindu Jain temple for Swamiji's guidance on issues arising within the temple or his advice on upcoming programs, projects, and expansion plans. Just last few paragraphs of this chapter. I sat at my desk in bliss, understanding only random English words that have become ubiquitous in Hindi and Gujarati as they were interspersed between torrents of those languages. Some Hindi, blueprints, more Hindi, architect, more Hindi, foundation stone, Hindi or Gujarati, failing marks, Gujarati, hopeless, Gujarati, giving up, Gujarati, please, blessings, as parents sought blessings for their struggling children. My work was much the same as it had been in India. Swamiji brought a manila folder with him from Rishikesh and handed me the contents one by one, with instructions ranging from, please tell them I cannot attend the event, but I send my blessings, to tell them to call the scholar and ask when his articles will be submitted. Tell them time is very short. Or ask the doctors who are coming to Rishikesh next month that they would like to run a free medical camp at our clinic. It would be good to offer services to the local people. With each instruction, my heart swelled in my chest. This was the best place, the best moment. I was the luckiest person on earth. As I watched myself, I laughed. I, who couldn't muster enthusiasm for research papers on the role of serotonin reuptake in depression because I thought they seemed so far from the core of true importance and understanding, was ecstatic to send wedding blessings to people I didn't know and ask for updates from people I'd never met on projects I didn't understand taking place in cities I'd never heard of, all from a home office in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Life, from rising early to eating chapatis to being a clerical stenographer, had become infused with excitement. The experience of myself in Swamiji's presence was qualitatively different from my experience of self anywhere else. In his presence, everything was perfect, including my perfect role in this perfect world. It didn't matter what the role was or how mundane the task. Simply being able to swim in this ocean of perfection made it all worthwhile. Thank you for listening, and that's the end of the 21st chapter. We'll conclude our reading there for now, but I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to read to you. And how lovely it is that in dear Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati's account, she can find bliss even in the most mundane things, if it means being established in something meaningful, something greater than her limited notion of self, as an expanse, an ocean of a greater universal self. Namaste. Alright, that practically concludes our Shravana section of our Sangha today. So thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging in Shravana, hearing. Now it seems as though one dear Jarrett had gifted a subscription to many people. Either there seems to be a duplicate in the list of subscriptions sent out, or you really sent a lot of subscriptions. Let me see. Thank you for sending a subscription to someone with an Arabic name I wouldn't know how to pronounce, but I'd love to know. Josie, Elaine Gurley Payne, Laurel Ocean, Kelsey, Soleil, Lime Fortnite Vods, Snail Breath, Donnie Tester, Sue Lynn, Babblefishy, Alexa K, Angela K, Maitreya, Emric, Grateful Human, Scott Gibson, Sorina, M.A., Juliet, Linda, Avant-Garde, Cody Jane, Lex, Tali, Shane, the emoji of the evil eye, Stephen, Lion Bjog, Hyper Jen, Rebecca, someone whose name is invisible, Dank Soul, Taylor, Soul D, Ibusaki, Easy Real, Loopy Lane, Hayes, Renvox, User 472, the letter A, Lisa, Diddy, Pierre-Luc, Anna, Kyle Murphy, Liam, Cassie, and Dalita. This is perhaps one of the most generous expressions of gratitude, and I am so honored to be in the presence of so many people that now we have, in no formal terms, a method of connecting deeper, be it a little tag of a reminder next to your username of the space that we hold together, and some stickers that we can bond over in the themes that we share. Thank you, dear Jarrett. I'm very blessed to know you and so many others. This space is one that I offer to be used for our growth, our development on the spiritual path, as a place to process emotions, learn new things, and cultivate love. And you certainly make full use of that, and this makes my heart sing. I look very forward to connecting with everyone who received a subscription. It's never necessary, of course, to be here in any form, but nonetheless, I hope that with this opportunity, we are able to become better students of each other on the spiritual path, and I hope to learn from all of you. Om Bhairava Rudraya Maha Rudraya Kala Rudraya Kalpanta Rudraya Veera Rudraya Rudra Rudraya Ghora Rudraya Aghora Rudraya Martanda Rudraya Anda Rudraya Brahmanda Rudraya Chanda Rudraya Prachanda Rudraya Tandava Rudraya Veera Rudraya Shura Rudraya Atala Rudraya Vitala Rudraya Sutala Rudraya Mahatala Rudraya Rasdala Rudraya Taltala Rudraya Patala Rudraya Bhava Rudraya Bhima Rudraya Namo Namaha. An extensive gift requires an extensive mantra, doesn't it? It seems to be so, dear Anna. A subscription for practically everyone present. Now, thank you, dear Ostlending, for your quintet of tiny tinies. Yippee! And a donut. Om Namah Shivaya. And lizards with swords. It's a great username. Thank you for your rose too. Radhe Radhe. And dear Angel, thank you for your heart mate. Om Bhram Hanumate Namaha. Thank you, Jarrett, for a heart me too. And mystery fireworks. It's very fun. Now, stop sending me things. Save your precious money. Thank you for your 69 team bracelets, of course. Nice. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Thank you, Soldi, for your heart meat. And a tiny tiny. Yippee! And Usha Bai, thank you for your heart me, your hand hearts. Here's some for you. Om Bharam Bhairvai Namo Namaha. And your witchy kitty, I didn't see that. Thank you for that too. Thank you, Loopy Lane, for your 10 friendship necklaces. Om Saraswatyai Namaha. And thank you, Jared, for 8 baby penguins. Nerd, nerd. And 11 baby hippos. Hari Om Tat Sat. Now, I pray to the universe that I give back more than I have received. Let us transition from our Shravana to our Manana. This middle third of our Sangha is dedicated to reflection, to the processing of experiences. So No more readings, but I invite questions and answers. I don't claim to know the answers to any question, but I'll happily take each question as sincerely as though it came from myself, and wonder simultaneously about the possibilities. Of course, you're very welcome to share a question, dear Jason. That's an interesting question, Soldi. I'm not familiar with the 72 angels of the Shem, although I have heard of them before. I know that in many traditions there is a practice of namajapa, which is enumerating names and epithets. We find it in almost every scripture of religions around the world, from enumerating a list of kings to a list of progeny. You'll find in the New and Old Testament, the Bible, and the many angels in the Quran, I think, or maybe some other Islamic text. I'm not sure exactly which text has the enumeration of the angels. And in the scriptures of Hinduism, there are many lists of 108 names of Vishnu, 1008 names of Shiva, etc. It can be a very meditative practice to go through names of the divine or ancestors, because their names mean something. They represent a virtue often, like heroism, like compassion, like the one who gives bliss, if you were to translate them. All right, dear Jason. You share you were driving out of town to another, and for some reason you saw the car you were in, and somehow you were able to watch the car coming while you were driving, like you were in a tree off to the side and ahead, but that happens to you 3 times in 3 different places and ways. Well, I don't recommend doing that while driving. Probably not too safe. But the fact that you are here now, I guess, tells me that you are okay. It's not like it was much of a choice anyway. Hey, that sounds like an out-of-body experience, and what a blessing it is to experience a perspective outside of one's own body and mind. To watch yourself as life drives you by. To watch from the perspective of nature. To see yourself as more than just the vehicle which you drive, both body and mechanically. This is beautiful. Thank you, dear Jarrett, for how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hat and mustaches. Yeehaw! Ram, Ram. Dear Devin, thank you for your rose. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Good night, dear Shakira. Asad, you had asked how to get over regret. We cannot change the past. We cannot expect ourselves to somehow be able to change the past. The future has not come yet. What exists for you and everyone else is what is happening right now. Right now, are you going to let these memories limit you? Or are you going to let them break you open? You can either break down or break open. The choice is yours. On one hand, we feel a kind of weight in which we feel afraid to make a decision ever again for the sake of the consequences or the pain that we might cause ourselves or others again. But on the other hand, we've been given a chance to learn something. We could not have known. If we did, we wouldn't have made the decisions we made. Now that we do, we've been gifted an opportunity to make a difference now. You are not defined in terms of the sum total of good versus bad deeds, but rather how you take accountability and maintain humility in everything that you do. Accountability for what can be improved next time, and a humility for all that which you have already improved upon. If you find value in the process of accountability and humility, then it does not matter what kind of sins you've committed in the past until now. If you are committed to learning from them, that is what this present moment is for. As long as your heart still beats, that there is still blood in your veins, oxygen in your lungs, then clearly the universe has not decided that you're to be taken out of this life. You've been gifted another day to make amends, and you should feel inspired to do so. Thank you, dear Deanna, for the rosa too. Om Namah Shivaya. That does sound very stressful though, dear Jason. Naturally, I'm sure that no amount of logic or reasoning can make such a experience make sense. But the good news is, it doesn't have to make sense. What matters is what you take of that experience. Maybe that means that you're opening up into a world of possibilities you didn't know were there before. You know, maybe that means you could drive a little slower. Maybe that means you could take a scenic route, you know, given that it happened in driving. What does driving mean to you? Where were you headed? Here's a new perspective on travel. Maybe this means that your awareness is something that has a body in it, rather than a body with an awareness. Whatever it may be, let this experience keep you mystified. Any conclusion that we make is a kind of deadening of our experience. But if we keep ourselves conclusiveless, is that a word? Conclusiveless. I think it's a good word. Then we know that nothing is so pressing in this moment that we have to solve. Just being mystified by what's possible and exploring those possibilities, we feel fulfilled in this moment. It's a good reason to be happy, dear Kristen. Dear angel, you share that you have a head voice You hear something sometimes, you think everyone is talking to you. What should you do? Oh, take care of your mind. If these voices are in any way negative, that can be a sign of unresolved trauma. Of course, being sensitive to the emotions within our body, within our memory, within those around us is very beautiful. We should take good care of this sensitivity. Only listen to those thoughts which are inspiring, because truth is always whole and leaves you feeling part of a whole. If there is any fear, just like anyone else, is this a quality thought to pursue? Or does it limit us? If it feels like it limits you in any way, then we can leave that thought alone, leave that voice. If it's inspiring, if it brings more peace into your life and those around you, wonderful. What a blessing that is. And if it's a little bit of both, as I'm sure it will be, then we can continue to practice giving more attention to the positive ones. And that requires consistent effort, a little bit, day by day. We don't have to try to resist or repress the negative ones. Just acknowledge them. Recognize the truth that they have from one perspective and continue looking for a perspective which broadens you, makes you feel more expansive. And if you've lived a life that has been hard on you, if there are fears, desires, traumas that you're still healing from, please be welcome to explore a kind of practice that helps settle one's pathology, psychology. If you find benefit in any therapy, any counseling, that can be really helpful. And if you find that one type of therapy or counseling doesn't work for you, there are many types. And if you're interested in that, it's my wish that you find one that you feel free to express yourself through. That's right. Even in the negative thoughts, there are deep truths. We just have to be patient with them. Sit on them. Allow ourselves to find what's possible. Sometimes that requires rephrasing our thoughts, reframing them from another perspective. Dear Star, you had asked, how do we not get triggered while caretaking for a parent that we have a fraught relationship with? Being triggered is not a conscious choice, is it? So you can free yourself from feeling like you're doing that to yourself. Challenging position to take care of someone who perhaps had previously not respected your own caretaking needs, but very selfless of you. If that caretaking is something that's bringing unnecessary pain into your life, I hope one finds a professional caretaker that is able to help in places that you are not ready for. Until then, know that a parent is good for only bringing kindness, love, growth into your life. If they bring you any sort of pain, negativity, it is not the role of a parent to do so, obviously. But I point that out because it means that we can love them for all of the good that they have done as a parent, for bringing us into this world, for taking care of us in the way that they knew how at the time, to the best of their abilities. That we can be grateful for. And for the ways in which their own pain is something we've inherited, we can set a boundary there. Either internally with ourselves, affirming to ourselves, this is not my pain to carry. Or with them, explaining that their role as a parent is something you're grateful for, and the kind of pain you receive from them is not yours to accept. But at the same time, you've been put in a position of stopping generational trauma. Pain is like an entity that goes from one person to another. You can either sit with it and transform it and hand it off to the universe, or you can pass it on to someone else. Generational trauma is such that passes down from one generation to another. We can sit with that pain, and we can transform that energy into something different. We can see where it comes from, and the quiet intention of goodness which it ultimately came from, but also observe how that intention got lost along the way and ended up becoming a limitation rather than a possibility. And we can forgive. All of these things are helpful in the process of healing from our trauma. But that process is a journey, and we can't expect ourselves to wake up tomorrow and not be triggered again. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide how much of that you want to take at this moment, if any at all. And I know that there's no wrong decision to be made on your part, because you are the one that makes each decision right. And I believe in that for you. Thank you, Tattvamasi, for your quintet of roses. Jai Nisargadatta Maharaj. Layla, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And hello, dear Valentine. I was thinking about you last night. Thank you for your rosa. Radhe, Radhe. And Indigo, you share to always choose a trauma-informed therapist/practitioner if you're going through trauma, because some will have a difficult time empathizing if it isn't their forte. Well said. Good evening, Neangelo Pack. Dear Nelly Who, You had asked, if you nearly died but miraculously survived, is that a sign that the universe really needs you alive? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, if you are alive right now, regardless if you've experienced something you'd call a miracle or near death happening, the universe really needs you here. The universe is a very efficient mechanism. I'm talking at the level of the deepest physics we know. Conservation of energy, conservation of information. That every particle emitted cannot get lost, because that would imply a loss of information or energy. That information cannot be delivered to the wrong place, because that would imply a loss of conservation of information. It's the most important law, this conservation of information. It's the law that implies so many other laws. The conservation of momentum, conservation of matter, conservation of energy, because all of those things are forms of information. Matter, energy, momentum, they're data points in this universe. They mean something. And that which is meaningful can never be lost. This is the law of physics that physicists hold true above all else. But this also has philosophical implications. It means that every single relationship between any combination of particles, from the atom to the human body to the planet to the stars and galaxies, must have some reason. Maybe it's some very complex universal reason according to the combination of information that must be expressed at this time, in this place, in this way, etc. But nonetheless, this is a very complex system, which is being managed by some of the most beautiful symmetric laws that could be devised mathematically, and our universe just happens to run on them, and that includes your body, that includes our society. We don't think of our society as running on the laws of physics, but strictly speaking, every part of it must abide according to every law of physics. It seems like human nature is just somehow existing in another realm, but still, conservation of information implies that whenever you have an interaction with anyone else, what is delivered according to that interaction, according to the understanding that you gain, must have been meant to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. And if you are here today in this body with this mind, clearly the universe allows it so. Now, naively, it may seem, as we consider the vastness of the universe and the potential apocalyptic scenarios of Mother Earth, that we are a relatively insignificant happening. And there's truth to the humility of that. But there's also truth to the understanding that every single person, nay, every single atom, every single particle in this universe is being managed and taken care of by an intelligent system. Now, you might not like to call it an intelligent system because that implies perhaps some sentience of the universe. But you don't have to look at that way to realize the intelligence of this universe. Just consider the fact that it requires intelligence to understand it. The greatest minds, Einstein, Newton, Emmy Noether, whoever it may be, they had to have a level of intelligence to understand the universe. This means the universe is an intelligent process, doesn't it? That intelligence implies that what is happening from the level of the cosmic to the quantum is very precise. And to assume that somehow that precision is lost in your ability to be here in this body, this mind, would be silly. Because that implies this universe is not keeping track of you and considering all possible interactions between the assortment of energy that you occupy and everything else. So please be affirmed that you are needed to be here for this universe to function as it is. There is no other way. Hello, Mariham. Welcome. And I love your awareness of conscious breathing, dear angel. Yeah, they call it manual breathing, which is funny. Because some people use it as a negative thing. Maybe someone's come up to you and said, "Now you are manually breathing. Haha, what a burden." If not, this is something that has happened. When we become aware of the breath, it becomes a manual process. Some people use that to get a little gimmick out of people. You're now manually breathing, and they walk away. But that's a blessing. They might not realize it, but they've blessed you. In Buddhist temples, every so often they might ring a bell or bang a gong, maybe to signal dinner time, maybe to signal the curfew for all the bhikkhus, the Buddhist monks, but most importantly, that's a reminder to take 3 conscious breaths. Many Buddhists, upon hearing a bell ring, now, even if they're not in their temple, they've been conditioned to take a conscious breath 1, 2, 3 times. Our body is good at breathing for us, but we can be even better, because the body can't tell if this moment is one that has danger in it or not. We get to decide that. Our body, due to trauma, due to just its evolution, might feel like it's in danger even when it's not. You might hyperventilate when you don't have to. Run away from a tiger or have a fight with a bear. Conscious breathing means that you get to set the pace for your nervous system. And what a wonderful thing that is. Thank you, Inevitable, for your trio of roses. Om Sum Sumaya Namaha. I did it again. I mixed 2 mantras as one. There's Om Sum Sumaya Namaha. That means salutations to the nectar of the moon, moonlight. And then there's Om Sum Suryaya Namaha. That's salutations to the radiance of the sun. Sometimes I mix the sounds and end up creating a composite, which is quite fitting, given that the sun and moon have such parallels. Thank you, Spiritual Vibes, for your heart meme. Hello, Evis. Good night, dear Magdalene. Well said, Sky Guardian. Atoms. Revolving the nucleus is intelligence. Well, I know what you mean, but it's the electrons revolving around the nucleus of an atom. Though the nucleus themselves, the nuclei, they do have their own kind of revolution. We think of them as just a little tiny ball, the center of a dynamic cloud of electrons, but there's also a lot of dynamism happening, even in the nuclei. The quarks and gluons are constantly moving around. Infinitely many virtual pairs of quarks pop in and out of existence. Everything in this universe is in motion. You cannot have a universe without motion. No motion means nothing to perceive, because perception requires change. In order to experience sound, there has to be a change in the air pressure. In order to experience light, there has to be a change in the electromagnetic field. In order to experience sensation, there has to be a change in the molecules bumping up against each other, vibrating. We cannot have material existence without movement. And you ask, is it infinite because it can't be counted? I suppose. Yes, that is a definition for infinite, isn't it? Because if it's finite, it could theoretically be counted. Counting in the sense that you have the faculties possible to enumerate, even if it takes you a very, very long time. That said, there is a type of infinity called accountable infinity. It's the smallest kind of infinity. It's the infinity of the whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because theoretically, you could count all of them one by one. It would take an infinite amount of time, of course. But there are other kinds of infinities that are even larger and uncountable. Like the number of numbers, the amount of numbers between 0 and 1. You could try counting them, but your process would always miss something. And not missing just in the sense that you still have more to count, but in the sense that no procedure could ever enumerate them one by one. With the whole numbers, it's a very simple procedure. You just go to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not going to miss any. Alright, you want to count the numbers between 0 and 1? Alright, you start with 0. But then what's the next one? 0.1? Maybe, but what about all the ones in between 0 and 0.1? 0.01, 0.001, 0.001. Your whole process of counting will not get you to 0.2 ever. Or if you go 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 all the way to 0.9, and then you do the 0.01, 0.02 all the way to 0.99, still you'll never get to the ones with infinite digits like pi or the square root of 2. Some infinities are just larger than others. Try to comprehend that infinity of whole numbers is big enough. Consider an infinity bigger than infinity? No. You're really going to rack your brain. But consider this, that there's something even larger than all infinities. See, there is no largest infinity. There's always, just as though there is no large number, no largest number, there's always a bigger infinity. But there's something that's even bigger than all the infinities. It can't even be considered infinite. It's beyond infinity. And that's the number of things that are possible to exist. If you consider all the things that are possible to exist, this is possible in set theory, through the mathematical foundation of considering combinations of things. How many combinations of things are possible if you're also considering combinations of infinity? What's the amount of that, of all possible combinations, including all infinities? Well, it's beyond all the infinities because we've included them. And since there is no largest infinity, then this is something that's even beyond infinity. And that's this totality of reality. All that which is possible is beyond infinite. And I have a hard time imagining more than 6 things simultaneously. Thank you, Andy, for the rose that you sent a moment ago. Dum Dargaye Namaha. And David, thank you for your heart me. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Thank you, Priscilla, for your trio of roses and a heart me too. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Talon, you ask if I can make a mantra album. That's very interesting. What do you mean by that? Do you mean my voice or just a collection of mantras that I like to hear? Regardless, all the mantras that we do here, the ones that I do interspersed through our live stream, you can find them in the frequently asked questions document in the link tree in my bio. You can learn more about them there. And the mantras that we do at the end of some sanghas also have designated playlists at the at my YouTube channel, Yamsox Lives, in case you ever wanted to listen to them too. But you're thinking of a professionally produced album. Oh my goodness. If you ask very nicely, I will consider it. Thank you, dear Priscilla, for your pair of roses. If you tell me what it would mean to you, otherwise I don't know. I want to know what it would mean for you, and that would be my inspiration. Carol Lizzle, thank you for your rose too. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. You're all going to buy it? Oh, if I made an album, it would be for free. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I wouldn't charge for anything like that. Thank you, dear Greg RG. I'd be happy to use your help. Hello, dear Zach. You're curious if I grew up in a sangha. For context, you grew up an atheist and are now spiritual. I'm sure we very much relate in that. For much of my life, I identified with being an atheist. I mean, it is very rational, it is logical. I mean, naturally, scientifically, this is the way to be. But I'm sure much like you've had experience which you know, or something which is just outside of the scope of science, outside of logic, not out of not in contradiction of rationality or logic, but actually in complement, something else. And therefore, if I understand that there is more to life than logic and reasoning, then naturally too, this label is no longer something I can identify with. But actually, I grew up for the first few years praying to God with my mother. We never went to church, and my father didn't pray. And there was something that made me stop praying, is that I asked my father, "Why don't you pray?" And he said because he didn't know if it did anything. And that was his honest answer. And I thought about that. And as I got older, I realized, why am I praying? You know, fortunately, my mother never forced me, and we were not that religious anyway, so it wasn't a big transition for me. But I then grew up very inquisitive, you know, asking questions, always asking, you know, why? Is it just because of tradition? Is it just because, you know, I was only doing it because my mom did it? And perhaps if my mom was a little bit more hard on me, I would maybe continue doing it the rest of my life. I don't know. But eventually, I discovered the value of prayer, and I'm glad I did. I would much rather pray voluntarily than not know its value. Because if you don't know its value, then it won't work for you. Because it's a subjective process whose meaning is painted by you as the artist, as the artisan of prayer. Prayer is a creative process in which you get to construct a vehicle of meaning, of transference from your experience to something beyond. And I love that. I love that. I didn't realize that when I was younger, how creative that is and just how useful. Now I start and end my day every time I wake up, go to sleep, before I dive into bed or get out of it. It's a very powerful way of starting my day. Thank you, Priscilla, for another rose. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And Dob Darker, thank you for your heart me. Ram Ram. Juicy Chakra, thank you for your rose. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Thank you, Zach, for your rose. There are a lot of musical homies here. What if some just sent in little samples, and you and I, Greg RG, could mix it together? I like that idea. Yeah, it could certainly be a collaborative process. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe we could bug dear brother Dunnett, see if he's interested in collaborating. That'd be lovely. So I'm going to begin to transition now to our final third of our Sangha, our Nididhyāsana, shortly. If there's any final questions, maybe we can do a little rapid fire, but this will be practically the end of our Manana section. Do I meditate? Asks Michelle. I try to be meditative in everything that I do. But I've been recently having the urge to do some traditional meditation too. And I have a vision of myself doing more of that soon. Thank you, little moonbeam, for your heart me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Leo, you ask, how can you talk to someone when they're more closed or reserved with their feelings? Great and practical question that I think we all have to deal with in some way. To me, the simple answer is to connect to the extent that they're able to connect. I was having a conversation with my friend Macy the other day. She was saying how difficult it is to find people that connect at where she was at. And we had talked about that for like an hour. And I was, encouraging her to find people to connect at the same level, etc. I was imagining myself as her, exploring this possibility of connection together. And then she asked me a question, which was, what do I do when I feel like I'm not able to connect with people, or they're not able to connect with me at the same level? And I burst out laughing because here I was imagining myself as Macy for the past hour, and I forgot that my own perspective is unique to hers, because for me it's not a problem. And I laughed because I didn't even think about that. I was working at the level that she was at, and then I realized, you know what? Personally, I see it differently. That I'm just happy to connect at the level that they're able to connect. And we were talking about in the context of relationships, intimate relationships, but it applies all across the board for every kind of relationship in our life. That for me, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful that I even have an ability to connect with people, to share emotions, and to the extent that they're capable, that makes me happy. I just like being a part of a world with other people in it, and it doesn't really occur to me if they're able to share as deep as an experience as I or not. Because for people in my life that have deeper experiences of things than I do, all I could do anyways is connect at the level that I have possible for me to. Yes, patience. People open up slowly, and that requires vulnerability. And all we can really do is provide them a space for them to feel safe to open up into, but could never do the opening for them. Mm-hmm. Okay, as I said, I'd like to transition now to our Nididhyāsana, our final section of our Sangha. Thank you all for exploring questions with me. Tonight, in our Nididhyāsana, and for those who would like to know what this word means, although I've provided a translation, the context is that in Jnana Yoga, in the yoga of knowledge, it's said that traditionally sanghas happen in 3 stages, and I like to follow that guideline because it's very beautiful. The beginning third of a Sangha is always dedicated to acquiring a new experience, to, in this case, reading from a book. Traditionally, it's from a spiritual scripture. That's called Shravana, the listening, the hearing. The middle third is then Manana. It's the deliberation of what was experienced. And I include experiences outside of the text, of course. And then the final third of the Sangha is dedicated to really locking in that exploration, Nididhyāsana, meditation, contemplation. To make the most use out of a space, we go from just acquiring an experience to processing that experience and then integrating the experience. And so I'd like to dedicate this last little bit of the Sangha to that. G to Infinity wonders, what inspired this change of format? I just woke up one day and realized that it could be done so. Practically, we've got all the parts of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyāsana. We just did it in a different order. So I thought it would be an easy transition. Just shift the order of the things we do, and there we go. We're already fitting the practice of jnana yoga. So I thought that was an easy, a simple way to elevate our Sangha. Thank you, dear Gina, for your trio of roses. Nice to see you. Om, to elevate our Sangha. Thank you, dear Gina, for your trio of roses. Nice to see you. Om. I think my internet disconnected just for a moment. If it hath returned, please let me know. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Good, thank you. In case you missed it, thank you, dear Gina, for your roses, and thank you, Soul, for your finger heart. Tonight, I wanted to do a guided meditation on something really important to me. And that's the alleviation of anxiety about the state of the world right now. My intention is, for the next 5-10 minutes, to cultivate a kind of understanding of the world without ignorance, where we alleviate ourselves from some of the pain that we unnecessarily bring into our own heart when we look at all the pain happening outside. Naturally, we are empathetic creatures. If the world around us is in pain, we feel that too. But there's a way of feeling that which doesn't have to bring us down too, and in fact inspires us to be even more engaged with happiness in such a way that we bring more happiness to the world also. I'd like to begin by acknowledging some of the things that are happening in this world. But just before we do so, I ask you all, myself included, to be in a position, physically, mentally, where you feel open to this experience. Maybe that means sitting cross-legged. Maybe that means continuing exactly as you are. Maybe that means bouncing your leg up and down. Maybe that means playing with your hands. maybe that means walking around your room. Doesn't matter to me, as long as it's comfortable for you. And I would begin by taking 3 conscious breaths together. So, it can be easy to be overwhelmed by these things. And so, bring to mind how you are in a safe space right now. Those who have a very active imagination and powerful mind, perhaps it's not so difficult to be carried away by the torrents of our psyche in the direction of suffering, destruction, loss, and death that so much of the world is facing right now, has been for a long time in many ways, and perhaps will for a long time too. Sometimes it feels like this world is ending, especially through our lens of childhood. When we've experienced times of relative peace, it seems like a lot of change is happening in the world, and many parts of it are getting darker. I just have to take a sip of water, otherwise my voice is going to go in a second. It seems as technology increases, yes, the more incredible miracles are able to happen medically, psychologically, and for humanitarian pursuits. My cat Sandy agrees. I don't know if you can hear him meowing. But as technology increases, also we increase in the ways that we can hurt each other. Technology has provided a way of causing pain anonymously. Technology has made it able to blow each other up without even looking at each other. You don't even have to be at the same part of the world. Somewhere in some room you can press a button and a missile is launched and your enemy goes kaboom. The state of warfare is very scary. The fact that our world was seemingly unprepared for a pandemic was saddening. And so many systems of government appear to be oppressive. These are the facts of the world, and we can't hide from them. But there's still a way to be peaceful. There is still a way to have compassion and empathy for all that suffering. There is a way to see all of the divisiveness in our politics, all of the barriers that we've set up between class, creed, ethnicity, gender. There's a way to see all of that, not hide from it, not try to think about anything else, but still be peaceful. There are two types of peace in this world: outer peace and inner peace. So much of the anxiety of the state of the world comes from this belief that in order to achieve inner peace, there must first be outer peace. That first, the conflict in my home, in my community, in my city, in my state, in my country, in my world, must come to peace before I can feel peaceful and safe. Let us challenge that notion today. Flip the script and instead choose to see it like this: that outer peace can only be possible when inner peace is first established. That the world can only be peaceful when its countries are peaceful. Its countries can only be peaceful when its states are peaceful. Its states can only be peaceful when its cities are peaceful. Its cities can only be peaceful when its communities are peaceful. Its communities can only be peaceful when our homes are peaceful. Our homes can only be peaceful when we are peaceful. We can only be peaceful when that peace develops within our heart. So, let us alleviate our anxiety by inverting our perception of peace. That peace is not the way in which things should end. It's the way in which things should begin with yourself. That you are allowed to be in an unpeaceful world and be peaceful yourself, because only when we start with peace in our own hearts can we begin to change the world around us. How could it possibly be any other way? If peace in the world is our goal, which it absolutely should be, how will we know what that feels like if we don't first find that in ourselves? How can we possibly create an inclusive world if we don't make our own minds and hearts inclusive? How can we create a tolerant and accepting planet when we still have intolerance and rejection within our hearts? So, fear not of the state of this world when your biggest contribution to it is yourself. This world is in such a state not because there's anything wrong with you. In fact, if you go deep within yourself, you'll find that everything within you is already all right. We go into this world with nothing, we leave with nothing. Therefore, it's up to us to create change while we're here, and that is our destiny. that creation, given our temporary residence here, must only be because we have peace already to give this world. It cannot come from thin air. It's a possibility already within us. This possibility is not something this world offers us. It's what we offer this world. Your happiness, your peace is forged not by this world giving you anything kind, but by you giving everything kind. You don't have to take it all on at once. You don't have to make the world happy to be happy. Just be a role model for those around you, and let the fire of compassion ignite in their hearts as it spreads to them from you. And like a flame is not extinguished upon transferring its heat to another, because that possibility for generation of light already exists within the other, so too, the light that you shine on this world, in order to remind others of what's possible within themselves, cannot take anything away from you, cannot exhaust you. This body, this mind, is a part of this very world too. And so if we wish to give to it, we have to give to our bodies and minds. Give it the space for healing, for growth. Remember that every time you choose to give to your body and your mind, you're showing others how valuable it is to take care of theirs as well. I know you will do great things, but you don't have to do them when you still are working on peace within yourself. That is the priority. And once that is established, it is only a matter of time before you radiate that to those around you, and your home becomes one full of peace, generating peace for the whole community, expanding further to the city, state, country, and world at large. Remember, it is not selfish to work on yourself when the reason that you are working on yourself is to show what's possible for everybody else, so that you may be strong enough in body and mind to help the world around you. The best thing the world could receive from you now is a kinder version of you, is a happier version of you, is a stronger, is a wiser, is a more patient, inclusive, and tolerant you. And this is the nature of paradox. We cultivate these virtues not for us to seem big and for others to seem small, but because we find the whole universe reflected in ourselves. With these things in mind, how can we possibly be anxious when we know that this system is intelligently designed in such a way, this whole universe, this whole circumstance that we're in, so that we may find purpose, so that we may find meaning in what we have possible to achieve. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free of suffering. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. And we can conclude with 3 conscious breaths. It was a little longer than 10 minutes, but I don't suppose that's a problem when it comes to the alleviation of anxiety. So thank you. That concludes our Nididhyāsana, and with that our Sangha for today. Thank you, dear Renvox, for your baby penguin. Nerd, nerd. And Gina, thank you for your pair of GGs, a heart me and a rose. Radhe, Radhe. Argo, I'm happy you find curiosity surrounding the healing nature of sounds, bathing in the experiences of our senses. If that makes a difference for you, then I certainly encourage for you to make your own kind of Nididhyāsana in shamanic sound bathing. Thank you, dear Gina, for another rose. Did I thank that rose? Hey, I thank you twice. Thank you everyone for participating in our Sangha today. Thank you, dear Don Suela. Thank you for my moderators as wonderful peacekeepers. Hybrid Jen, thank you for your pumpkin. Kamalir Mahakalikaye Namaha. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. May all that I do forever be free of charge. May everything I have to learn in order to be a better host come to me. And may you feel empowered to be here voluntarily. If this space means something to you, and you're not already aware of the recordings of these, they're posted free on my YouTube channel in case you ever wanted to listen to them while I'm not live. And the meditations and the readings also have their own playlists there too, so you can check that out. I especially bring that up because I know not everyone is able to attend the times that we listen to our books like Hollywood Himalayas. But if you enjoy the reading, then you don't have to go out of your way to buy the book, although I would recommend supporting dear Sadhvi, Bhagavati, Saraswati and all authors. Nonetheless, to keep you in the loop, to keep you in the theme of the journey that is being explored, the readings, please be welcome to catch up in the recordings of those readings. They're there for you to do so, to feel included. You can watch them at 2 times speed, 1.5 times speed. Thank you for sending a subscription to Gina, dear Orla. Very kind of you. Much love to you, Orla and Gina, and best wishes to your family. Thank you, Gina, for the Gimme the Vote too. Radhe, Radhe. And that reminds me, for the subscribers, I promised to make hands folded in prayer sticker, one with henna on it. So I'll try to do so tonight. Thank you, Rahina, for your heart me too. Om Bhram Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Asatoma Sadgamaya Dhammasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you, Rahina, for your subscription too. I really got to get on making that sticker for you. So I'm going to go. Happy to have you here on our journey together thus far. I pray that our journeys cross paths as many times as is helpful for us both. May you all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, your evening, your morning, or your night. Above all, may you have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste.